Hello everyone, and welcome to another Quarrier Football pregame show. It's brought to you by the Local Best. It's where to go before you go, localbest.com. We got Colin Beckler, Matt Larson back with you again this week, and the Dell Rapids Quarriers on a big road trip this week up to Madison. Dell Rapids 4-2, Madison undefeated so far at 6-0. And before we get into previewing tonight's game, let's talk a little bit about last week, Colin. Tough game against Vermilion. Turnovers seem to be the key to the game there. You've mentioned it over and over again the last 3 or 4 weeks on our pregame show. We started out great. We got the interception, returned for a touchdown. We got a fumble recovery even 2 drives later in that first quarter, but unable to capitalize on that fumble recovery, and then we turned the ball over in the second half. So your thoughts on how last week went?
Yeah, just what you said is a perfect explanation of what happened. My key takeaways, though, is, number one, I think we grossly underestimated their quarterback. He tore us apart. He ran the ball a lot, I think more than what we expected. And the other thing is when they scored late in the first half on a 40-yard pass play with 13 seconds to go in the first half, that killed us. I mean, just from a momentum and a standpoint where now how do we recover when that just happened? Obviously it was a blown coverage, and we just didn't keep up, and I don't think we expected it.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I marked down that big plays being a key to last week's game, so we'll talk about that after we look at the 11A standings after last week. A little bit of change in how the standings are. We're going to look at the seed points rather than the media poll or the coaches poll this week, because the seed points is where all of our playoff brackets are going to be set. And, of course, Madison still at number 1, Canton number 2, but then Vermilion, with that win last week over us at Dell Rapids, moves to 3. West Central is also tied for 3rd with Vermilion, and then Dell Rapids at 5, just a half point ahead of Lennox, followed by Sioux Falls Christian, and then Millbank, who's only a half point ahead of Tri-Valley. So it seems like there's still a logjam here with Class 11A.
Yeah.
A couple of key games besides the one here tonight with us at Madison is West Central at Vermilion. With those 2 teams tied in that 3rd spot, that's going to be a big game coming up tonight for those 2 teams. And another one I have circled is tomorrow, Tri-Valley and Lennox. Lennox again in that 6th spot, and Tri-Valley trying to fight their way into number 8. So you have any other thoughts on Class 11A? I mean, we've talked about it over and over throughout the weeks. It's pretty much up for grabs, I think, right now.
It is. And what this game means, I mean, so first of all, we have to win this game again in Madison to get a home playoff game. We need this win to get in the top 4. That's how important this is for having one more home game. But you look at West Central Vermilion game. We need Vermilion to win that, because if they lose and we're tied, they have the head-to-head on us, and they would get the extra spot. So we were rooting for Vermilion now.
So let's take a look at tonight's ball game. Again, traveling to Madison, taking on the Bulldogs. And first question we'll start with, we had a tough loss here at home against Vermilion. What's been the team morale, the focus on the team coming off that loss last week?
And visiting with some of the kids and talking with Aiden, they just weren't ready for it. And I don't know if they were looking past that game to this week. I think the coaching staff, they even thought, when they watched film the next morning, that they really underestimated the quarterback too. And if we had a chance to go back and if we could play that game again, I think it would be more keyed up on him. But you just, you have to put that, as hard as it is, you have to put it behind you. And just, this is the only game that matters. And really, if I was coaching, I would say this is your season, and I would make and stress the importance of it.
So another key concept from last week that I noticed, the big plays kind of hurt us a little bit. You mentioned the touchdown, the long touchdown right before half. I think there was an 85-yard touchdown pass prior to that, some big plays. Well, what does the team need to do to stop that from happening here tonight?
Well, if you look at why those plays went for big gains, it was our secondary. We had a couple times where our guys were in the grass, had them, but then fell off or couldn't do that. So you just need to, make sure your D-backs are ready to go and that they're, well-trained or they scout them well, because Madison can pass, and they pass deep, and they pass well, So that's, I think, what you got to look for.
So you talked about the quarterback from last week. I think you're going to see that same type of quarterback tonight in Madison with Nate Rickey, that double-threat quarterback, 1,000 yards in passing so far. He leads the team in rushing. What have we learned from last week to kind of control that?
Yeah, I think what you need to do is first and foremost, how are we going to get to him? Let's not put him in a position where he can run. Let's not put him in a position where he can stand in the pocket all day and find alternate receivers if the one or two is not open. And what I've been watching on film, I watched a couple games, is he has all day back there. And if nothing's open and they're still not getting to him, he just takes a draw and he runs. You know, he steps into the pocket, moves forward, eyes downfield, and he's a heck of a runner, like you said, too.
Well, that sets us up for our keys to the game. We'll start first with Madison. What are they going to look to do tonight?
Well, so what Madison has to do, and we talked a little earlier about this, you know, if they go up early, that's going to force Dell Rapids into a passing game. We're going to have to abandon the run because we're going to need to play catch-up. So Madison needs to stop our big plays, not give up those potential things. As we have the athletes, we definitely have the arm to get it downfield. We do have a few new plays this week. You'll see some motion by Dell Rapids, which we have never seen before. But at this point of the season, the coaches are going to want to put new plays in every week. So it's a little something that isn't seen on film. So Madison, stop the big plays for Dells. I think Madison has to pass at least 50% of the games. And sometimes their formations, they come out with 3, 4, or even if they have 4, they'll motion the running back out, so they have 5 wide receivers. How are we going to manage that, right? And then the last thing is, we know Austin Henry is such a good athlete, and we know when he gets flushed out of the pocket and is on the run, we know things don't go well. It's hard to find a receiver when you're scrambling for your life, right? So he is going to have to try to stay in the pocket. So the key to Madison is they need to put a lot of pressure on Austin tonight.
Well, now for Dell Rapids, again, you're looking to bounce back off of the loss to Vermilion, make a big statement in Madison on the road. What do they do tonight here to get a win?
Well, first of all, stop the run. You know, they have a couple kids, not only number 7, but number 32 and number 5 are right there alternating fullbacks, and they do run the option. They run a lot of things. Not that we haven't seen it before. There's going to be no trickery that I've seen. Maybe there will be tonight, but we need to stop the run, okay? Also, we need to pass the ball downfield. Why I say that is because they have 7 starters back on defense, and the inexperience there are the defensive backs. Okay, so we're going to have to challenge them a little bit, take advantage of that inexperience and older type thing, and then our offensive line. We say it time and time again, Matt. They need to actually hold their blocks, protect Austin, and another key. I don't have it written down, but the last 2 games we haven't had Landon Von Holtum. He's back. We are at full strength tonight. There will be no excuses why, you know, we didn't do something right or anything. And he's an integral part as a fullback for Dells to those quick hits. And you know, you've seen him. It's 6, 7 yards a touch sometimes. Just a little quick dive. He runs that really well.
So before we wrap things up here with our pregame show, let's talk about final thoughts before the game. I know on paper this looks like a tough one, but I remember 2 years ago we thought the same thing going to Madison, and right off the chute we put up a couple of quick touchdowns and we had a great game. So what are your final thoughts going into tonight?
I think the kids know the importance of the game. You can't stress about it though. Use that to motivate you, not to scare you or make you hesitate in what football's all about reaction time. You just need to react to the play in front of you. Sometimes overthinking can be the worst thing you can do, right? You just need to react, and you need to tackle. We can't slip off tackles anymore because we know our defensive backs and our safeties are going to be responsible for a lot of tackles tonight because they'll make it through that first and second level into our thing. So I think that is what I'm looking forward to seeing, how we manage their run game.
All right, with that, let's make some final predictions here tonight. What do you got?
Boy, you know, I went back and forth on this, and it can, in my way, I can see it going back and forth, high score. I can see it being a grinder, low score. That being said, I am going Dell Rapids 21, Madison 20.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go more of the back and forth, high-powered offense here tonight, but I think too is gonna come down to the special teams and an extra point. So I'm gonna go 35-34 tonight.
Alrighty.
We're gonna bounce back after that loss last week and pick up a big road win tonight. All right. So with that, again, a beautiful night for football. I know last week we had the weather issues. That's not a concern tonight. Make the trip to Madison. It's gonna be a great night for football. But again, if you can't, we'll be on the call one more time here. Both Kyle and I will be there in Madison. Kickoff at 7 o'clock here on Big Sioux Media.